Hello viewers, welcome to our lecture series on Indian ethos in management. This lecture is under special segment and we have with us Ms. Manisha for assistance, and we will be telling you about forward engineering for strategic gearing. This is going to be part 3 of our lectures on forward engineering for strategic gearing. My dear learners, as I told you that here we are going to talk about a paradigm shift from rationality versus creativity to a combination of both, that is rationality and creativity, which is actually the need of the hour. We all know that we cannot do our business with only rationality as on date. We do require requisite amount of creativity into all our business operations, be it product, be it services. So, keeping in mind this fusion of creativity and rationality, this forward engineering is basically offering us a solution which is based on this new paradigm of a fusion between rationality and creativity. Actually, it combines the rational, analytic and intuitive creative approaches. So, there are two aspects of it. One is rational analytic and second is intuitive creative. These two approaches are actually combined together to find a unique solution to the problems which we are facing in 21st century. So, with this as a background, which I already told you, now we are going to talk about analytical tools for forward engineering. We had already discussed about scenario mapping, and now we have to talk about fate analysis and SPOT framework along with other tools for forward engineering. Now, let us begin with fate analysis and the SPOT framework. As we all know, this fate is actually an acronym which refers to future anticipated trends and events. I am repeating, future anticipated trends and events. This fate analysis can be coupled with capabilities and competence analysis for the purpose of anticipatory witnessing, that you are going to anticipate what is going to happen in future. So, we are basically anticipating the trends and events of future in today's time. This fate analysis can be facilitated by both analytical and intuitional approaches to trends and events. So, analytical and intuitional both are being used here. We can facilitate with the help of these two aspects, that is analytical as well as intuitional approaches to trends and events. So, event impact matrices may be used to facilitate this fate analysis. Closely connected to fate analysis, we have another concept of SPOT, that is space and pace of opportunities and threats. That what is the space and pace of that opportunity and threat which we are witnessing. So, the speed with which this, the pace at which these opportunities and threats are coming to us. As against SWOT, wherein we were doing strength, weaknesses, opportunities and threats analysis. In this SPOT analysis, the pace of change is getting due recognition and significance, because this speed matters a lot, whether we are able to maintain our pace with with the pace of change or not. Whatever change is coming to us, the pace of that is very high, and if our pace in accommodating that change is not that high, then of course we cannot deal with that specific situation and will not be able to survive as a business enterprise. So, SPOT analysis, my dear learners, it focuses our attention on a continuous assessment of the changes in the market space and pace. So, whatever is happening consistently and continuously, we are going to make an assessment of the same here in this fate analysis and the SPOT framework. That is why we combine them together. This SPOT and fate, they are combined together, and they actually help us in making our vision, strategies and action plans document for the entire organization, which can be smart enough, which can actually combine the goals which are specific, measurable, actionable, realistic and time bound. Now, moving ahead, and we will talk about another interesting technique which actually becomes part of each and every other tool of forward engineering, that is called mind pooling or pooling of minds. In order to find unique solutions to the 21st century challenges, we have this technique that is called mind pooling, and it is increasingly being used by the corporates as of now. So, when an arrow is set in motion, an arrow of time also starts operating. Inherently, the arrow of time prevents a broken cup from coming back together again. But a new and beautiful piece of art can be created from those pieces. So, even the broken pieces can be used to create something new if you have creativity with you. And the art of reversing an organization's arrow of time is basically related with creating a new work of art with the help of forward engineering. And here comes the role of mind pooling. There is no single standardized way of making the pieces combine together. Suppose if we two are sitting, we can find one way of showing our creativity, another group of people may find some other way. So, there is no standardized way of making the pieces combine, but of course, the creativity can come from anyone and from everyone. That we should accept, that we should honor, and that is the beauty of mind pooling. There are many creative solutions which are actually unique in itself. Each one is unique in itself, and each one is being honored. In forward engineering, the search is for these kind of unique solutions which would enhance the organization's proactive and strategic capacities. We are actually on a hunt to find that solution which can increase our strategic capacities, which can add to our strategic capabilities. And this search is actually facilitated through a mind pooling exercise, where you actually pool mind of different people who think differently, but they are good enough in terms of their creativity. They are unique in their own way of showing or reflecting the creativity. Now, the question comes in front of us, sir, still I fail to understand what is mind pooling actually. Mind pooling, my dear learners, it is a methodology for pooling collective intuitional wisdom which leads to intuitive visioning. So, it is the intuitive wisdom, what you call as the sixth sense of a person, because analytical is something which is common. Anybody or everybody who is conducting analysis on a given parameter would reach to the same solution, but it is the intuitional wisdom which leads to intuitional visioning, and that comes from the pooling of collective intuitional wisdom. And group discussion is in a cinematrix exercise. It also lead to pooling of ideas. As I told you, this mind pooling is omnipresent in all techniques. You name any technique of forward engineering, you would find the presence of mind pooling in one way or the other. So, group discussion in a cinematrix exercise, it also leads to pooling of ideas, and the strategic tip of an organization has three important components. One is technology, second is information, and third is people. Technology, information, and people. Together they make the organization unique. If you have requisite technology, if you have complete information about the market, and then you have people who can actually make optimal utilization of technology and information, then of course nothing can stop you from gaining the strategic advantage, from getting the success. So, the forward engineering for an organization is a tailor made to its requirements. You can't say that you have one size, you can apply one size fit all approach here. You have to customize according to your requirement. Just as Zen gives cues for creative directions, forward engineering leads to creative solutions. So, it is giving you the creative solutions to your problems which you are facing. So, here comes the role of mind pooling, and as I told you, it is omnipresent in almost all the techniques of forward engineering. Moving ahead to another important dimension of forward engineering, or another important tool which is being used by corporate entities at large, Everybody talks about benchmarking, but how we are going to take when somebody is telling you about anti-benchmarking? Anti-benchmarking for creating unique strategic positions. That is, you are going to create your own USP by doing something opposite to what others are expecting from you. So, while the concept of benchmarking is being widely talked about, this forward engineering actually encourages anti benchmarking. It says that why to confine yourself to the given benchmarks. The path of benchmarking is one of imitation and replication, that you are imitating others, you are replicating others if you are doing the benchmarking. But why to imitate, why to replicate, why don't you create your own benchmark? Why don't you go to the path of anti benchmarking, where the creativity is given the utmost priority? Because it forces us to seek new ways. When you go for anti benchmarking, you always search for finding the new ways and new benchmarks, creating new benchmarks of your own according to your requirement. So, while we can certainly learn from benchmarking, this path is one of imitation and replication. The path of anti-benchmarking is that of creativity, because it forces us to seek new ways leading to a new competitive advantage, and that is something for which we are doing this forward engineering. As I told you at the very outset, it is just like projecting yourself after a given time, say 10 years down the line, where do I find my company, my product, my services, whether they would still be relevant after 10 years with the given technology, or we need to make certain changes, and if those changes are needed, are we prepared for that? So, this is the way we can prepare ourselves for future, and anti benchmarking is another important technique in the kitty of a corporate manager. It is a technique for identifying the new path through innovation and creativity, and it can also be referred to as TAN approach, wherein it is indicative of a new path. And while benchmarking and thereby best practices approach suggest we should follow the leaders and try to bridge the benchmarking gap. Whatever gap benchmarking creates, we need to bridge it up. The concept of benchmarking suggests that we should identify a new path always, and that is the beauty of anti benchmarking. In the spirit of thesis, antithesis and synthesis, we can arrive at the concept of benchmarking, anti benchmarking, and one more step can be added, the new benchmarking. So, it is just like making your benchmarking relevant in the marketplace. Updating and upgrading your benchmark is nothing but your anti-benchmarking or new benchmarking. So, through this approach, companies can create unique strategic positioning by the way of innovative strategies. There is a recent concept of blue ocean strategies, which also reflects a similar approach. It is now being increasingly talked by the corporate enterprises. It may be indicated that forward engineering is a creative search. We need to understand the genesis of it, that from where we started, why we needed forward engineering. We needed because rationality was there with us, but we wanted to include creativity, we wanted to combine creativity with that of rationality, and for that only we are making use of different techniques, and anti benchmarking is one of them. It is not just a case of putting old wine in new bottles, but it is a refined wine in a refined bottle. So, you are not only refining the content, but you are also refining the area in which the corporate canvas in which on which you are working. So, even the bottle need to be refined, which means you have to refine the organization as well. You may have to refine the business format as well. So, the tools and techniques of this forward engineering draws freely on both modern and ancient approaches to management, especially Kautilya's Arthashastra. We can find number of examples which is being used by corporate enterprises in order to implement forward engineering into their business enterprise. Now, after discussing about these tools and techniques, now it is time for us to discuss about integrative framework of forward engineering. How to integrate all these tools and techniques, how to integrate this entire exercise with the organization. So, whatever idea I have discussed so far, it can be complemented through various other techniques of management improvement systems. For instance, it can be HRD, it can be re-engineering, it can be total quality management, and many more. So, this makes the framework of this forward engineering a comprehensive framework and as well as an overarching construct. So, we can make this framework so comprehensive that we find solution for all the problems from this framework only, and that is why integration is very much important here. It is driven by the reach out concept. This entire idea or notion of forward engineering is driven by the reach out concept, strategies for reaching out to the current and future customers. Suppose if I have my own customers as of now, so we need to retain them, but along with that we should regain new customers as well, and that is called attending to the current customers and also looking forward to have more and more future customers. It is an essential aspect of forward engineering that you should not stick to the customers who are still with you, who are with you as of now. You should always try to add more and more customers to your market share, then only you can become a market leader. So, information on metric analysis, cinemetrics, so-so window, fate analysis and spot analysis, we have discussed all of them. Once we combine them together, we actually get a holistic view of strategic gearing capacity of any company, of any corporate enterprise. And it may be noted here that the wishbone analysis is a subjective method for getting a feel of the opportunities and assessing impact intensity of threats and events. By combining these approaches together, we get a comprehensive framework of forward engineering, and that is something which is needed as of now, because we are witnessing the 21st century challenges, and it is only the conceptual framework of forward engineering which can offer a proper solution to all our problems, because it is combining both rationality as well as creativity. Now, we have discussed all the tools of forward engineering. It is time for us to give a recap. Let me give you a recap of it. When we talk about vision, strategies and action plans under different analysis. So, let us start with metric analysis. In metric analysis, what we do? We go for analyzing market, economic, technological, resources and institutional capacity. So, in this analysis, in a way we are conducting the analysis of entire business environment. In fate analysis, we are actually analyzing future anticipated trends and events, that what could be the future trend, what would be the composition and direction of trade which we are witnessing now, what will be the future of it. This is what we analyze in fate analysis. We have to anticipate future trends and events, and this is another technique in the kitty of corporate manager, where we are implementing forward engineering, where we are moving towards forward engineering. In BO analysis, we are actually analyzing the barriers, obstacles and weaknesses. Unlike SWOT analysis, where we were only analyzing the weaknesses, but we were not looking at barriers and obstacles. So, the analysis of barriers, obstacles and weaknesses, all three are being done in BO analysis under this tool. In cinemetrics, we are creating the matrix of controllable internal and non-controllable external factors, which actually have impact on a decision situation. So, in a way we are conducting another kind of analysis of business environment by classifying them into two segments: controllable, uncontrollable, and internal and external. So, based on your controllability and based on internality or externality, we are creating a matrix to find a solution, to understand a situation, to actuate a situation. In so-so window, we are actually we can call it an analytical window to compare one's strengths and weaknesses with that of competitors. Where do I stand vis-a-vis my competitors? What are my strengths, and when I compare them with that of my competitors, where do I stand? and once I get to know about the gap, we can work on improvising our own strengths and working on reducing the weaknesses or eliminating the weaknesses to the possible extent. Another technique was which we studied here, SWOT analysis, space and pace of opportunities and threats, where I told you that we have to actually examine the magnitude of, we have to analyze the magnitude of opportunities and threats. What is the space and pace of opportunity, the pace with which threats are coming to me, we cannot ignore them, and for that we have another tool called SWOT analysis. In we have a subjective method of assessing impact intensity, that is called wishbone analysis. My dear learners, nowadays in researches also, we are finding increasing role of subjective methods, because once you quantify the data, once you do the quantitative analysis, data is giving you the quantified information, but at times we find the significant role of subjective method of doing assessment and impact of intensity. In mind pooling, I told you in detail in today's lecture itself that it is a methodology for pooling collective intuitional wisdom, which leads to intuitional visioning. We can make good use of our intuitional skills when we go for creating vision, mission, document of any organization. So, mind pooling is another interesting technique in the hands of corporate managers, and once we combine all these approaches together, we get a comprehensive framework of forward engineering. Each and every tool has a different role to play. If you look at the different tools and their roles, they are actually playing a significant role at different fronts. Once you have to do the analysis of environment, you are actually using cinemetrics. Once you look at the environment from the perspective of controllability, uncontrollability, internal and external factors, then of course you go for cine analysis. When we go for finding the barriers and weaknesses, when we go for finding the barriers, then of course we have to do the BO analysis. So, each and every tool has a different role to play. Like obstacles we have to identify, because we are witnessing, we are actually making an anticipation that after 10-15 years what kind of obstacles we will be witnessing, what barriers we will be witnessing, and what are the weaknesses which we may find into our existing system. So, these tools are of immense importance. We cannot give them ranking of 1 to 10 that this one is more important and this one is least important. All have a different role to play. So, all of them, they are combined together to create a robust framework of forward engineering, and for this entire idea of forward engineering, the acknowledgement goes to the author of this new idea, Dr. Subhash Sharma, who has written his article Forward Engineering for Strategic Gearing, a Conceptual Framework, and it was published in the Indian Journal of Public Administration. And another article was there on forward engineering, which was published in IIM Bangalore. Their journal, that is Management Review of IIM Bangalore, by the same author. There are other resources also which are being used for this very topic. So, my dear learners, with this we have understood all the analytical tools which are being used for forward engineering, and we have also discussed about the integrative framework of forward engineering, the way we have to create an integrative framework of this entire forward engineering. Now, in the next segment of my lectures, I will be telling you about the 3R framework of forward engineering along with other dimensions which are of great interest to the corporate managers. I hope you must have enjoyed today's lecture of mine. Thank you so much.